see God. I look down and see my dog. Simple spelling, G-O-D. Same word backwards, D-O-G. They would stay with me all day. I'm the one who walks away, but both of them just wait for me and dance at my return with glee. Both love me no matter what, divine God and canine mutt. I take it hard each time I fail, but God forgives, dog wags his tail. God thought up and made the dog. Dog reflects a part of God. I've seen love from both sides now. It's everywhere. Amen. Bow wow. I look up and I see God. I look down and see my dog. And in my human frailty, I can't match their love for me.
Amen. Bow wow. Okay. And now, for those that don't know what this is all about, I'd like to know myself. So I'll let Jane and Miranda explain to you exactly what this is all about.
Well, read it, Miranda.
Okay, by the way, sorry.
Okay.
Want to welcome you, first of all, the Revelation series
Finale
special, and all the students. It's so good. It's so good to have you. And
It's been a long journey.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, and you've completed it, and you've done successfully. And I personally am very proud of you. I've read all your comments, and I'm going to go through that in a few minutes. This is our finale special. But I just want to congratulate you that you've got so far.
Yes.
They've done the special, haven't they? The extra,
The bonus lesson.
lesson.
Yes, with the tests.
Okay.
And you
So-
got your notes.
Good. They've got that. They did get that. And so you've done everything, and you've done well. Now, what was this all about, please? Explain.
Okay. This was Marilyn Stevenson, and she wrote in and said, this is for Jane and Maggie, because Kim mentioned in one of his special messages for the Revelations class that Jane felt God had a special affinity for dogs because God spelled backwards is dog, as we just learned so beautifully in the song. Here is a link, and she sent us the link to that YouTube video for you to watch, and she just said she thought you would like that.
And it was very cute because I really believe that a dog's loyalty shows us how God must think about us. I mean, a dog just never leaves your side.
It was a cute video.
Very cute.
It was a good description of both.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Marilyn.
Yeah, Marilyn.
For sending that. That's very sweet of you.
Even though Maggie's not with us today.
Yeah, Maggie's not with us. That's probably why we also played that. But Maggie is not the Alpha and Omega. Jesus is.
Yes.
And it's cold in California today, raining, so we didn't bring her. But
Nevertheless.
She has a little sweater. It's quite ridiculous. You see these dogs running around in sweaters. I keep saying to Jane, God gave them fur.
Good point.
Why would they need sweaters?
because they're so little.
Okay.
God didn't make them
But the
that
smaller
little.
you are, the less you feel.
Well, you get cold, don't you?
Yeah, but I'm big. And I wasn't born with fur. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get on with the stuff. Let's talk about what they've written in. What do you like to start with? Because you've got the whole program there.
Somebody actually wrote about when you prayed for them in the middle of that lesson about the spirit of suffocation and how it really ministered to them and helped them,
Released
freed
them.
them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And many wrote in about that, but then they specifically said, please do that more often. Stop, pray in the middle. If you're feeling something, go ahead, pray
And you
for
know
us
what?
because it
Just-
is what we're going through.
Just so you can go with me on this, and you know what I'm saying here, is that the only reason I'm not doing it that much is because I didn't have the freedom to do it. I didn't feel the freedom to do it until it actually happened, that specific lecture. Because I'm so used to being on a platform, a lot of people, and now I'm restricted to a classroom when there's nobody except the online students. And so I believe I'm going to get more comfortable doing that because it is an important aspect of the teaching.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay, and of course we've got some questions that have been asked on.
I want to add the one question I read. Sorry to
Yes.
interrupt you. Is where we can answer is about.
Yes.
Perhaps bring that up. Some of the
Sure.
questions that you asked were just
Yep.
great.
Patricia Heller asks, Professor Clement, have you ever met Keith Green? I really like both your guys' music, and your first album, which you gave them for them to listen to, You Gave Me Love. Your first album reminds me of some of his music. So don't you have a story about that,
Isn't
Jane?
that amazing?
Yes,
That they picked that up.
Yeah.
because when we first got married back in 1978, we started listening to Keith Green's music because it really ministered to us, because that was what Kim was leading into doing.
And what I
And
came out of as well
yes.
as what he came out of as well, the same
So-
culture.
Yeah, you related to him.
I think I
very
introduced
much.
you to Keith Green actually.
Yes, you did.
Because and what I loved about him was that he was very spontaneous, and I believe he couldn't do his stuff. He did better live, I think, from what Bob Cotton told me this, that he did better live than he did in a studio, which is
Yeah.
exactly the way I am.
you.
That's why you won't get many studio quality albums from me, because I don't get my songs or prophetic songs in the studio. I get them on the stage. Of course, on a stage, you've got to have all the correct equipment to be able to record and to capture that as well as you would in a studio. But I love the chemistry behind it because it's just happening right there and then. But Keith Green did inspire me very much. And he was a prophet and died before his time. And I believe that, of course, Melody Green is still alive, his wife, and of course his children. Some of his, she was pregnant when he died.
Yes, I think she was.
Yeah,
pregnant.
she was. She was pregnant when he died. And I highly respect
Very
her. And
sad story.
but of course, his spirit was imparted like Elijah would have imparted, and I'm one of those recipients
That's beautiful.
of that. Yeah, so I carried it further. Of course, a lot of people don't recognize that because, I'm a prophet in my vocalizing as well, in my prophetic speech, and preaching. But that's
Yeah, and you prophesy over people, whereas we never saw him doing that. He really was doing it in music. He
was, and
wasn't
it was very
really-
different. They were creating a
Yeah.
whole community of people and just. But anyway, yes, we did know
Yeah,
him. I
Patricia
never met
picked
him.
up
I wish
on
I
that.
could have met him, but he died. Gosh, in 1983, I think. But I never had the opportunity to meet him. I'd love to have. But I did do when I did the call in February of 2005, I believe. We just come back from Holland, so it was 2004 we were in Holland, or 3. I can't remember.
That was 3. but
And
I-
so
I
it was
could be wrong.
2004 when we did the call at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Melody Green was there, and I was playing keyboard behind her. We'd just done our own prophetic song. And I started playing, thinking to myself, oh, she's going to love this. And she actually told me to keep quiet. I promise you, she did.
Maybe she was going in a different vein then.
And I was completely devastated. I thought,
She's probably
don't listen,
changed
darling,
over the
don't you
years."
know your husband's spirit is on me?
Aw.
But anyway, it was. I did
That was
this.
very disappointing.
We forgive you, Melody. It's fine.
Anyway, it is interesting that Patricia here picked up on that.
Yeah, very interesting.
Your influences. Anyway, there's a couple of comments here and questions that came in. I know you wanted to address them, just some fun, lighthearted ones. David Brooks, who is known as the chief bottle washer on he's done all your courses so far.
Oh.
What,
Yes, that's right. I've seen
what
that.
brand and flavor of
The
tea?
chief bottle washer. Can you tell him to tell us what that means?
What in the world is a
The chief bottle washer. What do you mean?
We don't
Tell
know.
us about that. You're drinking a lot of
Maybe
wine
he's got
and
a lot
washing
of
the bottles.
kids,
I'm
and
just
he's
kidding.
got to wash their bottles.
Maybe that could be it.
Anyway, he's asking what kind of tea you guys drink and what brands.
We like a South African tea called Five Roses, if we can get it. That's the very best. But if we can't get that, we buy PG Tips
That's right.
tea.
And
All British,
if we're
right?
really
Is it
stuck,
all
if we're really
British?
stuck, we'll get Twinings
English breakfast, or
breakfast
Irish
tea,
breakfast.
Irish breakfast tea. But if you can't get that, then just find any black tea. And I'll tell you who's got a great black tea is Starbucks. They have Awake,
That's
Yes.
right.
which is a
Okay.
great tea. So
That's like my
so we have
favorite one,
English,
man.
well, I like it, but it's English breakfast tea, which is important.
Yeah.
Okay.
And our dear new friend, Brian and Katie Holbrook.
Mm.
Brian asks, who writes the questions for the quiz? They're very cool, not boring, or without humor.
Well, that's actually my team does that with me. Miranda,
do most of them.
Sunil, myself. I guess Hannah's been
Mhm.
involved, but
Rena's done some.
I initiate. The Rena's done some, but I initiate, and the team go through it, and they're almost like the devil's advocate, if you wish, because they'll sort of look at the question through your eyes,
Right.
so to speak.
And give the fun answers and Like
I-
the scripture
She does a lot
reference
of
of
fun
First
answers, yeah.
Charlie and
Yeah,
stuff.
who chooses the answers?
we do
Uh,
together,
yeah.
but she's got a lot to do with it. Her and
We
Sunil.
have fun. It's actually good for our team too.
We love it.
Do that stuff, and the students like it, so it's good. Anyway, that's from Brian Holbrook yesterday, and then we have a couple of good questions about the prophetic and stuff. Do you want to go into some of those?
One I'd like to do is about the emotion. I'd like to speak about the emotion. I can't remember where I put it, but
The Old Testament, New Testament.
well, let's do that one. Let's do
Okay.
that one. That's a good question, guys. You're gonna like this. We got about. We've
Just a
probably
few
got a
minutes.
minute left, a minute and a half. So,
Okay, Allison
because Danny
Houston.
keeps showing me our time limit. So,
Allison Houston says, concerning the language of God, I can read the New Testament and believe that God is good, but when confronted with questions or reading about how God acts in the Old Testament, I'm stumped. When I read the Old Testament, it seems as though God is acting contrary to his character, and I know that God is not confused. So can you help me with this issue?
let me ask you a question. First of all, when your child is 5 or 6 years of age, 3 years of age, how do you treat that child? Do you treat that child exactly the way you treat a 25-year-old? If that child was 25 years of age, your child, would you treat that person the same as you did when she was 5 or he was 5? No, because when a child's growing up, and that's how I relate the Old Testament, it's like a child. God had to correct. They were under law. They were like children, but then they grew up, and then and then that's when the New Testament comes in, where God treats them like adults, and no longer has to use the whip or the law, but now releases them. We have something in this country that you guys don't have, because when you turned 21, you were in our family, and in South Africa, when we turned 21, that was our, what do they call it?
That's when you're given the key to you. when
Your
you
freedom.
Yeah.
Your freedom from
You
the
can make your
parents.
now own decisions.
Now it's
and-
like 16 or something stupid.
Yeah.
But we were 21 when we were given our freedom to be adults.
They have the 16th birthday party here.
Yeah,
16's
18.
too
When
young.
you turn
That's
18,
ridiculous.
you are considered an adult, especially
18,
like in
okay.
the law.
But they
Well-
don't really believe that, because you can only hire a car when you're 25.
Okay, well, that's one.
And I think in South Africa, you can hire a car when you're 21.
Okay, that's a very good point,
Yes.
because that legally they recognize that as an age where you are free. Now, so it is with the Old Testament and the New. Old
That's
Testament
good.
was your as a child. You had to treat them like children. They were in the school learning. They were to be corrected, and so on, and subjected to that law, that strictness. And so when you punished your child for doing something wrong, and then at 25 you didn't do the same thing, you can't say that's contradicting your character or personality. It's just that the Old Testament is the child, the immaturity, into the maturity and the growing up. You've been given the key. You are now by yourself. God's given you all the principles, all the laws. He doesn't have to treat you like he did in the Old Testament. That's sort of the way I see it. So in the New Testament, you are grown up. You've been given the key of freedom, which is Christ, His grace, His forgiveness.
Right.
And from that point onwards, it's up to you. He doesn't do the same things. Even though there will be punishment, He won't inflict that punishment. Now, you bring it upon yourself. If I release Caleb from my house, if he did something wrong, I had to belt him or do what I had to do when he was a kid. Now he's grown up. I don't do the same thing. I don't run to San Francisco with a belt in my hand and give him a thrashing when he does something wrong. Now it's different. I say to him, my boy, you did that. Now you bear the consequences. You have to suffer the consequences. That's how it is with grace. And so I hope that explains
That's
it.
really helpful to me
Yeah.
personally too. Actually, about
Because when you see a
Well, you
parent,
hardly ever had to give him the belt because you're too soft.
I did it once though. No, I did it once.
did you have to do it?
I'm
Do you have to
usually the
belt?
big bad wolf. Yes.
No, you're not. I suppose so. You know what they say about me? My bark is worse than my bite.
Tell them. I love this when you'd send
Talking
him
about
in.
dogs, my bark is worse
When
than my
you'd
bite.
send him in to discipline the two girls, and you'd send him in there, and the next thing you'd hear,
All them giggling. Yes.
Well, my girls
Yes,
twisted me
he-
around my finger, man.
I
But
would say, now, Kim, you have to go and deal with this. I'm tired of doing it. Okay, he said, and he would go in the room, and then I'd hear giggling, because he just
tickling and playing
okay, I
around.
couldn't do it, but I
He'd
did.
give them a talking to, but he
Once in a
didn't
while.
spank them. I
But
had to do the
if you
spanking.
if you as an outsider looked at me when I disciplined my child, you couldn't judge me because they're children. If I was doing that to a 25-year-old, 21-year-old, you could then say this is not right. And so I think it did explain a lot to you. Go.
No, that's good. Okay, you asked about the emotions question. Jan Gardner says, you've been drawing closer to God for 31 years. What can you say about his emotions? Do you carry his emotions that he's revealed to you within you?
Yes.
I love that.
I love that question because when I'm on, I hate to use the word stage, but it is the stage.
Yeah.
When I'm on the stage or the platform ministering to human beings, you'll notice, it would look like schizophrenic behavior because one minute I'm laughing and then I'm praying for somebody else and suddenly maybe I'll weep or I'll be very sad or I'll raise my voice and there are different emotions. What I'm feeling is as each person stands in front of me, I feel the Lord's emotion towards them and in what he's saying to them. You can't speak words of sadness and not be sad. And sometimes it does. Once, I'll never forget, I stood in front of somebody and they said, I've come to ask God to give me an answer. Of course, I didn't ask for the answer because I like God to tell me. And as I looked at her, I said, it's about someone who is HIV positive. And she got tears and I felt so much sadness. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't tell you he's going to live because he won't. And both of us wept, and that was the end of that. So yes, the emotion, I feel the emotions in every revelation, because in every revelation there is emotion, that comes along with that. So when God reveals something, there's his emotion that comes along with it. For instance, if you're telling somebody something fantastic, you'll notice when I get so excited, when I hear a good word, if I was like, well, God's going to bless you type of thing, it doesn't make sense. If my emotion doesn't go along with the word, it doesn't make sense. Like winning $1 million, what I told them. You get that phone call and, you got your $20 million. Remember I told you that? And how would you behave? If I announced that to you and I had no emotion with it, it would be very strange. I very much feel the emotion of God, and you have too, in the revelation that has come to you about various things with the kids and different things. You felt the emotion. Of course, you're not going to tell anybody, but I'll just tell for you.
That's the difference.
Well, she's the one that tells everybody everything.
I know what she will tell. She will tell the answer to this question, which is what, I don't see a name here, sorry. Rad for JC. Rad for JC is asking what type of breed Maggie is.
Oh.
Because they're looking to ask you questions on Jane's Corner.
Oh, okay.
Which you're going to enhance a little bit here now, right?
Yes. The Jane's Corner will have a page, Jane's Corner, where you'll click on the page and then it'll open up. Right now, it's just only on the newsletter, at the end of the newsletter. So we are working on having an actual page. And I will post a lot of little things up there. Maybe about little...
What Maggie's a poodle, right?
Maggie's a teacup. A little teacup poodle. She weighs 1 pound 6 ounces, and I have 3 other little teacup poodles, about 3 and 4 pounds.
But she's the spoiled one.
She's spoiled because she's little. She needs a lot of attention.
Oh, I see. So that question was for Jane. I knew she would like to answer that.
They probably want to find one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I now believe that dog and God are very similar because the minute you mention dogs, she starts going crazy. The minute you mention God, I go crazy. So there must be somewhere
That's
along
cute. That's a good connection.
Because, look at it. She just... Anyway, I think
and they're all dressed up in little jackets today.
See the sweaters.
And Kim was laughing about that. He just thought that was funny.
Thank you. God bless you.